There's my shelter here from regular size PST with totally a willow frame. I used no rope, no cordage, no tent stakes, and I made a very secure shelter that is secure in the storm and the rain and the wind, and all done like I say with just a willow frame, and threw my tarp over it, cut some tent stakes and drilled them down into the ground, and getting ready to cook a little something inside there now. Canes and stuff, willow whips. What we do is just flex it down, put a little bit of pressure so it forces the just like that. You have one like this, you start flexing it, you start angling in. There you go. There's about a 1 inch. You just flex it, it stretches the fibers, and you're putting the weight of the knife right here in the hand here, and then you just kind of start off. As it digs deeper and you're flexing, it just starts to dive on you. Makes that little cut right there. Very easy. You don't need an axe or anything like that to harvest these things here. What I'm going to need for my tarp shelters, I'm going to need four sets of hoops. So what I've done is just pre-staged them right here, and just trimmed them off 8 pieces. The thick end down with the point sharpened, and twist them together, and then I'll set them all out alongside the tarp and pull the tarp over them, and then we'll put them all together, and that'll make us a little shelter here. Alright, so the way we lash these together, we take a piece of willow, we pull it around there, and we just twist it. And then the end of it, we just, there we go. So now that's locked right there. So we'll just keep going down here on this. Alright, now this is kind of a side, kind of a cross brace that runs from here down diagonally. I've sharpened the tip of that, dives down into the ground right there. You see I've got a natural fork right here. So what I'm going to do is take advantage of that. So now I'm just near the back right here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to twist the 2 edges of that fork together. Twist them together down here a ways. Once you get to this end, you can just kind of do whatever you want. And I think I'll just take it up over the top right here. And I'll basically just pull them back through a little bit of a loop there, leave it like that. So now I've got a cross brace to help support this thing. So what you want is the fairly green one. Some are even more green than this, or even more flexible, but this will be fine. So all we do, and you can strip, you know, if you want to strip the leaves off and stuff, I kind of leave them on just because it kind of gives a little more grip. But what you do is just bring it around there, and then we just start twisting, kind of like you're, sort of like you're, well, like you're twisting your rope, but you're not really, you know, putting a back twist on it. And so all we do is get a little like that, and then, so I've got another willow here that has a little gap. 2 willows come together. So all we're doing to knot them is to just pull them through somewhere that it kind of wedges down. And that does the trick right there. So see how simple that is? No cordage, just using willows or that sort of thing. Now with these willows you can go through and like stem them all off and bust out, get all the leaves off. But I found sometimes it's nicer to take the butt end that's sharp and shove it into the ground on one end and come up here with your diagonal. And then see this one right here, like I could have cut that off, but you know, I can always add myself some support here by I can just kind of go around here, pull it as snugly as I can, kind of keep working around there, and then in the end what we do is we just pry apart the wedge here, and so I got kind of a knot right there. So that'll kind of hold all that in place. Actually gonna, there we go. So anyway, so see with that, I made me a little lashing without having, just with what's already connected on one end. Alright, so I'm gonna do this front leg here. So just going to take this green willow and then going to just be twisting that around. We'll just keep going with it. Now you notice, you know, one end is thinner and the other end is kind of thicker because it's, you know, towards the base. So sometimes to make it twist a little better, you don't, it doesn't really matter that much, but sometimes I just work the thick one a little bit, just kind of get it flexing. And ultimately what you want to do is get out to the end and you just keep twisting. And then what you're going to do is just bring it over the top like that. Put your hand in here and push down. And what that does, that pulls it down into the crossing point there. Then I've got some extra here, so I just pull that down under there. Now that's tightly lashed together, twisted tightly. That's not going to go anywhere now. Alright, so I've basically got my framework up. It's pretty sturdy. It doesn't go anywhere this way and that. We've got our cross bracing. I didn't necessarily, I could have got away with just one of them, but plenty of willows around here. It's just a couple extra minutes. So I went ahead and I just went ahead and did it up anyhow. And then, so now everything's fastened down. These diagonal ones, I sharpened those and I jammed those into the ground on each end. And then we tied the ends, you know, the hoop coming down and the diagonal, tied those together at the bottom. So that helps to kind of bond everything together as well. Plus we're going in diagonally, which helps to hold the hoops in the ground and everything. So now we're about ready to put the top on here. So let me give you a recap of the willow framework we made. And you see here we've, on the hoops themselves, you know, we just have one long piece on each side. Then we join them in the middle and start flexing them and twist them together. That's how we form the hoops. And then I've tied them off here, tied them off at the crossing points, down here, up here, and then here again. I don't know if I took a picture of this. The top ridge pole. What I did on both ends of it is I jammed it through the two hoop sticks that are twisted, so it's actually secured in there. Then I've wrapped it around and secured it down. So that makes this thing very, very stable, very secure. So now we're about ready to throw a tarp over there and see what she looks like. This is designed for the 7x7 tarp. So what I did is I just laid the tarp out like this, lengthwise, and then I knew I started my end hoop there, and then I just kind of spaced them out and worked my way to the front. That way, that just was an easy way to give me my spacing. Alright, so I'm in my shelter. I got my foam blanket in here for my sleeping gear. You know, I'm pretty good to go here. I've got, this is the 7x7 PST, the Personal Survival Tarp. So this is our standard regular size. Fits me just fine. I'm in here, plenty of space. I got plenty of room to sit up. I got plenty of elbow room. You know, I come in here, I could sit up, I could run a stove, whatever, you know, all that sort of thing. But you know, I got room in here. I'm cozy. On the opposite end here, if I want to close that end, I've got several options. If I have my PSS, my personal survival shelter, my poncho, I could use that to make a door on the back side. If I had the small version of this tarp, the PSTS, which is 5x5, I could put it back there as a door, or, you know, a closure. Or I got plenty of willows that I made this frame out of. I grab a few more of them, put some verticals in there, weave some horizontals, and then stuff leaves, grass, you know, bark, whatever, in there to form myself a closure on the back. Actually, I'd rather have that side open and this one closed because the creek's right there. That's a lot nicer view than this is. But anyway, so either case, I'm good to go that way. So I can close this in fine. You know, I'm going to put, I can put some grass or twigs if I want to along here to kind of seal the bottom. And I've got plenty of airflow in here if I need it. You know, I can close it off if I want. But, you know, if you're wet, kind of humid, damp, or whatever, nice to have an airflow through here to kind of keep everything dry and cozy. So, you know, as you can see, I mean, it works very nicely. It's very cozy. Underneath me, a lot of the ends of the willows and stuff, the little trimmings and stuff like that, leaves and all that, I just threw all those in here kind of on the ground as a little extra ground cushion. So, and I could put more in here if I want to, but this is pretty good here. Anyway, so as you see, I got plenty of headroom and shoulder room in here for one person. You know, you can put this up in about a half hour. It's very sturdy. If I grab this thing here, you see I tug on this thing. I mean, this is every bit as sturdy as a fairly expensive tent that you might buy with your aluminum or carbon poles or whatever. And it's just made out of willows that there's, you know, gazillions of around here. And you know, so the framework I made up, I used not one inch of cording did I use anywhere, or rope, anything like that. And I made all my own tent stakes. Everything's tied together with willow whips, the little shoot on the ends. So I mean, the whole thing is just put together with natural materials, other than I got my my PST, my tarp. So yeah, it works very nicely. Whoops, left a little for the squirrel there. But anyway, there we are. We're about done here, cooking inside of our shelter on the nano stove with the spirit burner inside of it at about half throttle. All right, so to chow down here. 2 eggs and dirty rice. Dirty rice left over from last night. Cooked up nicely. Perry Peacock, Wilderness Innovation. Having a great day outside by the creek. Having a little lunch inside my shelter. It don't get a whole lot better than that, man. Not at all. This is just excellent. Great day.